Hey guys, Verity here. This is probably going to be a much more casual video than you're probably used to on this channel, but I wanted to try something different, just with the time constraints and wanting to get other projects done before the next season drops. I thought I'd kind of just ad-lib this one and see how it goes. But real quick, I just kind of wanted to share my thoughts on this second round of the Respec Order. And to preface this before I really dive deep into anything, I don't really have any strong thoughts on this Respec Order. I think it's fine. I don't think it's necessarily warranted, the health changes especially. I don't think it's necessary. I don't think there's anything in the data that they point out that screams that light needs more health or that heavy needs less health. I think they're doing that in response to them decreasing the light's speed and increasing the heavy's movement speed. Now, I do understand that they're trying to, at least they said this in part 1 of the Respec Order, that they're trying to address this problem of lights going off on their own and then dying. And it's kind of easy for a light main to accidentally do this due to their speed increase compared to mediums and heavies. And if they want to address that by slightly adjusting the speed of the 3 archetypes, I don't think there's a problem with that. But I don't think it warrants health changes as well. You know, I think you could change the speeds and that's it. And I don't think you would upset too many people. I think the health changes cause more harm than good, and I'll explain what I mean by that in a second. But I guess the one thing that really kind of stands out to me when I read these changes is what problem is Embark trying to solve with this Respec Order? Because they say that they may add it later, they may not, they're open to either direction. You know, Combo kind of alluded to this in his video, and I agree with him, that I don't see a world in which Embark doesn't add this later on in the future. I don't see them investing this much time and effort into something just for them to throw it out. You know, they're definitely adding something like this in the future. And I'm not upset by it, but I'm just kind of curious as to what triggered this thought process for Embark, because when they changed the health pools, all of a sudden we need to change the specs for the weapons, for the specializations, for the gadgets, you know, all of these things that they're having to adjust with these health pool changes. And I think, why overcomplicate this? Like, why make it more difficult for yourself? But I guess, you know, not the end of the world. I'm just kind of curious as to where Embark's coming from this, and they weren't really clear cut with it. Like, they weren't that transparent with it. They would just went into the data. They didn't really go into the why. So I'd be curious to hear about that in the future. The next point, I think, is it gets to the meat of the whole issue here. And it's that with the data, you know, we look at several of the charts that they were discussing of the data points that they were collecting, and one of the main components of it is win rates. So they discuss thoroughly how heavies win the most and lights win the least. And that they say that their goal, they outright say that their goal is to bring the win rates of the 3 classes closer to equal, and that would make the dev team happy. And I honestly kind of fundamentally disagree with this. A game developer should be concerned with win rates, but the number one metric they should be concerned about is play rates. And now, for some of you, you might think, well, don't they go hand in hand? You know, if an archetype, if a class doesn't win, then people aren't going to play it. And that is true to some extent. There is correlation, but there's definitely not causation there. And you can see this directly with how often light is played compared to how often light wins. Right? Light wins the least, but light is not the least played. In fact, heavy is the least played, despite heavy winning the most. And this has been true since like season 3. Like, Embark has mentioned this multiple times since the game has launched. Heavy is the least played, and it is the most successful strictly in terms of winning. But I think that Embark is kind of dancing around a topic that is baked into these classes. They're not painting the full picture here, and it's that different classes specialize in different concepts, you know, and they attract different types of players. So if you're someone who just wants to go get kills, to go off on your own, to kind of play a little ratty, you're gonna pick light. You should pick light. If you're trying to play Ratty as a heavy, you can do it. I mean, all the power to you, but you're not really using heavy to the best of its abilities, you know? You're strong-arming heavy into something it's not built for. If you really want to play like that, light's got you covered. And with that playstyle comes more deaths. It comes with playing further from the objective. It comes with playing further from your team. And by proxy, you're not going to win as much either. You know, I mean, those are the consequences of that playstyle. And so that's one of the reasons why Embark gave the H+ infuser to light. You know, I saw a lot of people confused by that. It makes sense to me. They gave it to encourage lights to play closer to their team. And to be honest, I gotta give it to Embark, it kind of worked. As much as I don't like H+, you see lights playing around their teammates a whole lot more if they run H+. And it was to kind of counteract that playstyle. The problem is low skill lights don't run H+, so it didn't really change anything for them. And heavies, on the flip side, tend to be much more objective driven. Why is that? Well, they're given specializations that directly affect objectives with the Winch Claw and also a little bit with Goo Gun. They have Mesh Shield and Dome Shield that encourages team play. They're also way slower and a bigger hitbox, which means that they can't afford to play as far away from the objective because they can't get back in time. So heavy naturally sits around the objective a lot more. So that means that they're probably going to win a little bit more. And so I think that basing things off of win rates, like if I play heavy. Heavy's my main. I play Sledge, I play Goo Gun. That's my bread and butter, you know. So if I'm sitting here and I'm winning the same amount that my light M11 player is, who's 150 meters off of objective, kind of just going off and doing it on his own. If I'm winning the same amount he is, then I'm just going to switch to light then, or I'm going to switch to medium. Like, why play heavy and dedicate my life to sit around the objective when that doesn't make me any more likely to win, you know? I'm sacrificing my movement, my invis, my dash, my gateway, my nullifier. Like, there's so many tools that light has that I'm sacrificing to play as heavy, and I enjoy heavy. I like the tools I get, but I like playing around objective. I'm an objective focused player. I love playing objective. I don't play for kills. I don't care about KD. I care about winning. You know, I care about playing objective. That's what I love doing. And if my win rate is the exact same as a light player, then I'm going to switch to light and I'm going to have fun doing something different. I'm not going to play around objective, because why do that if I'm going to win just as much as light, you know? So I think that's the fundamental issue that Embark has, is they're not considering that. Heavy should win more, not because it's designed to win more, but players utilize the tools given to it in a way that allows them to win more. They stick around objective more. It's just the way that it is. And heavy accounts for the least amount of play, which means that, honestly, you could probably cater to heavy a little bit more. Now, I wouldn't do that as a developer, but why would you punish heavy when it's the least played already? Players already run across heavies the least. Why would you want it to be even less? Like, if you do this, it's a buff to light, and you're going to have even more light players, and light players are the ones that the main community find the most frustration with. And what metric do people find the most frustration with when they have lights on their team? It's win rate. It's playing together. So speed reduction makes total sense. Health buff doesn't really make sense. And trying to fit light to win more doesn't make sense to me. I think they're missing the point there. I have a couple other smaller points to run through real quick before I end the video. Class identity, it comes back. It's kind of been a reoccurring theme in the last few seasons, especially for medium, but now it's for all the classes, because pushing everything together runs the risk of homogenization. I talk about this in my melee video. Homogenization, or making everything kind of the same. You're losing the identity. You're losing what makes these different playstyles unique and different. Especially with the buffs given to medium. They're kind of treading into light territory here. And Combo talks about this in his video as well, so give that a watch if you haven't watched his yet. He goes a lot more into the micro gameplay of it, some of the buffs, some of the nerfs. I'm kind of much more an overarching view, so check out his as well. But it kind of, you're bleeding into each other's territory. And the one benefit from the huge disparity of health pools between the three classes was that they had their own clear identities. Now, light and heavy certainly had their own things going, and that's not going to disappear with this. I mean, I don't want to be dramatic here, but it does dilute it a little bit. But that being said, one final point I wanted to bring up is melee and the breakpoints. Now, I'm a melee main. I've been a melee main since Season 3. Lucid, my duo, he's been a melee main since Season 2. So we're all about the melee. And I understand that you can't like put off a whole Respec Order because, oh, it hurts the melee. But it's worth at least bringing up. Breakpoints are relevant for shotguns, for marksman rifles, for snipers, but they're everything for melee. Melee doesn't exist without breakpoints. If you're going to play melee and be a main, you need to know the breakpoints of the three archetypes, or else you might as well throw out the weapon and try something else. You need to know the breakpoints. And the breakpoints kind of break a little bit with these health pool changes. And it's not the end of the world. We'll adjust, we'll settle back in, we'll figure out the new ones. Now, you would need to adjust melee a little bit, I think, to make it feel good again with these health pool changes. Now, my fear is Embark won't do this because the melee rework is coming next season, which means Embark is probably going to want to let melee sit for a while afterwards. And if that happens, they may not want to address it as much. Doesn't matter either way, just something I wanted to talk about. The dash nerf, one more thing. I am not terribly against dropping it from 3 to 2, but I will say, as a sledgehammer heavy goo gun main, not winch, not shack or anything, like I get punished more than anybody with a dashing light, a good dash light. And I don't think that dash needs a nerf. I have no problem with dash lights. And I don't know, I hesitate to say it's a skill issue because there's a lot of people that complain about it, but maybe it's a skill issue, to be honest. I mean, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that's a skill issue because I've never had an issue, and I have no winch, I have no ranged weapons besides RPG. Granted, that's a little bit of a crux, I'll give you that one. But I'm a sledgehammer, you know, there's only so much I can do. And if I can deal with it, I feel like other people should be able to deal with it too. And I don't know, I mean, I'm just throwing that out there. I might get some hate for that, but I don't think it's warranted. If you wanted to nerf it, like the cooldown changes, I think those are fine. If they're really hellbent on bumping it from 3 charges to 2, fine. But I think you should at least bring back the cooldown back to 5.5, which is where it was way back in Season 3. But I think it's necessary. If you're going to make such a massive nerf to it, you need to offset it a little bit. I would even argue bumping it below 5.5, but I would say at least start out with 5.5 cooldown, not 6.5. It was at 6.5 when Season 10 dropped, you know? Like, you're bringing it back to where it was from Season 3 to Season 10. But in terms of Dagger, like, oh my gosh, you just killed that weapon if you bring it down to 2 dashes. It sucks because if you really want to bring it down to 2, like, you have to bring down the cooldown because Dagger is gonna be cooked. Dagger's already, it only has like so many players. It's so difficult to use the 150-degree backstab window. And I know Embark does not want to bring it back to 180 degrees. And that's fine. That's fine. But you cannot kill that weapon like that for nothing, you know? And I don't want it to dumb down. I don't want you to dumb it down. You know, some people are like, oh, make it easier. I don't want it to make it easier. I love that it's a high skill weapon and that not very many people can use it. Because if you are a good Dagger user, it's difficult to play against. I love playing against good Dagger users because I understand Dagger. You know, Lucid, my duo, he mains Dagger, so I understand. It's so fun to play against them, but they can be frustrating for people. So don't dumb it down, but don't kill it either. That kind of sucks. But all that to say, Respec Order. I'm excited that they're dropping this out. I like that they're doing it in World Tour. I know some people are like, oh, just drop it already. I'm fine with making it kind of a slow process. I would much rather them drop something good rather than throw it out there and then we're all stuck trying to pick up the pieces of a kind of broken game now, you know? I'm okay with them taking the time. But if I had any recommendations, I would say don't change the health pools, just change the speeds and see how that goes. Just try that out. Then you don't need to change the specs of any of the weapons. I mean, saves you a huge headache, Embark. You'll thank me for that. I would say that because that gets rid of all the melee breakpoints. That would be my biggest recommendation, absolutely by far. And also take a second look at that dash. Not a big deal, kind of a big deal, but I don't know. Those are my recommendations. If you guys have any thoughts on it, please feel free to share them in the comments. I read all of the comments you guys give me. It's so helpful kind of getting other community feedback and to help me kind of change my opinion on things. So for those of you who continued watching, I know it's not very many probably. This is kind of a very different video for me and my style. But I just wanted to try it, just kind of see what happens, see if you guys are interested in it or not. Thank you guys either way for the support. 1,000 subs, awesome. Appreciate it. Very, very cool. I will see you guys very soon with the project I've been working on for a while, talking about the winch claw. So stay tuned for that. Thank you guys. Peace.